Why does the scene in No Country for Old Men work so well? Film directors are nothing but emotional manipulators. They get us to have strong feelings for characters that we don't even know. And that's a really hard thing to do. But when it's skillfully done, it elevates a movie from entertainment to art. One of the hardest things for a filmmaker to do is get us to feel for a character, especially a character who we're supposed to fear. You know how hard it is for a filmmaker to really get you to fear a villain? I mean, they have what? 2 hours, sometimes 2.5, to make us feel something about a character that we have no idea about. It seems like it's becoming more and more difficult all the time. Filmmakers are raising the stakes so much that there's a disconnect between us and the villain. Like me personally, I don't care about the universe getting blown up in a movie. Those stakes are meaningless. It's too abstract, I can't really connect to it. But when filmmakers can really get you to fear their villain, the villain sticks with you forever. The opening scenes of No Country for Old Men are a masterclass in storytelling, seamlessly blending dread, character development, and foreshadowing. In a cinematic era where blockbuster villains often operate on a universal scale, threatening to obliterate entire planets, wipe out half the population, or bend the multiverse to their will, it's easy to feel a disconnect. Like sure, on paper, Thanos snapping his fingers to obliterate half the universe is frightening, but the scale of it can make it feel super abstract. When a villain's actions are too massive, it becomes hard to actually feel the weight of what they're doing, or even grasp the real consequences of individual loss. But the opposite of that is what makes Anton Chigurh so much more effective and haunting. He doesn't wield cosmic power or threaten to end humanity as we know it. Instead, his actions are grounded, intimate, and disturbingly personal. When he kills, we feel the stakes because we see the people he affects up close. His presence doesn't signal the end of the world, but the end of a specific person's world, and somehow that feels infinitely more real. By focusing on smaller scale violence, Joel and Ethan Coen create a villain whose menace resonates far more deeply than any universe-destroying supervillain ever could. And the crazy thing is, they develop this fear for Anton Chigurh in the first 20 minutes or so of the film. Right from the jump, Anton Chigurh is terrifying, but not for the obvious reasons. Yes, his actions are horrific. He kills a sheriff's deputy in a small, dingy police station with a set of handcuffs in a manner so brutal it makes you wince. The scene is graphic, yes, but it's Chigurh's demeanor that really makes you squirm. He doesn't yell, he doesn't rush, he doesn't even look particularly angry. The way he strangles the deputy as if it's the most natural thing in the world is what really sets the tone. Chigurh doesn't just kill, he erases life without hesitation, as if flipping a switch. And if that wasn't enough, he ups the ante by killing a man on the side of the road for his car. And it's not your typical Hollywood murder scene with dramatic music and emotional stakes. The man is just unlucky enough to cross Chigurh's path. And the killing is quick and impersonal and leaves no room for negotiation or mercy. This randomness, this complete disregard for human life, sets Chigurh apart from the beginning of the film. These scenes establish him not as a psychotic murderer driven by passion or greed, but as something colder and more terrifying. A force of nature, unstoppable and emotionless. But that's not why we fear Anton Chigurh. That's not what makes him scary at all. It's a part of it, but there's a bigger reason why the audience connects in the way that they do. And the crazy thing is, it has absolutely nothing to do with Anton Chigurh at all, or at least nothing to do with his actions. Let me explain. After these horrifying introductions, the film shifts gears, allowing us to breathe as we meet Llewellyn Moss. What this scene is doing is it's setting up stakes in a way that we don't even realize.
Oh, I ain't got no water.
And the scene in conjunction with this scene makes us fear Anton Chigurh even more. Compared to Chigurh's cold-blooded efficiency, Moss is a relatable everyman. Sure, he's a little rough around the edges, a welder who stumbles upon a briefcase full of cash after a drug deal gone wrong, but he's smart, resourceful, and surprisingly moral. His interactions with his wife are peppered with dry humor and unspoken tenderness.
Keep running that mouth of yours, I'm gonna take you in the back and screw you.
Big talk.
The scene where Moss returns water to the dying man from the drug deal cements our empathy for him. It's a risky, almost suicidal decision. He knows the danger of returning to the scene, but he can't ignore the man's plea for water.
Oh,
This moment right here shows Moss's big heart. He's no saint, but he's somebody that we care about, even with his flaws. And that's the genius of this storytelling. By showing Moss's humanity, it makes us invest in his survival. And that investment in his survival connects directly to Anton Chigurh. Just as we start to feel safe with Moss, the Coens bring us back to Chigurh, who stops at a gas station for a chilling encounter. Here's the thing, we don't know the gas station attendant. He's just a guy doing his job, yet somehow we find ourselves gripping the edge of our seats as Chigurh flips a coin for the man's life. So why does the scene work so well? It's not about the man himself, it's about what Chigurh represents and what we know is coming. By this point, we've spent enough time with Chigurh to understand that his sense of morality, if you can call it that, is dictated by fate. The coin toss isn't just a gimmick, it's a cold, arbitrary system that removes any sense of agency from his victims.
Call it.
The attendant doesn't know it yet, but this coin flip determines whether he walks away or dies. The randomness is horrifying, and the fact that Chigurh could kill him just as easily as letting him live without a shred of remorse makes the scene unbearable. And the Coens craft a cinematic masterpiece of a scene with very simple direction. There's no fancy compositions or any explosive acting or anything like that. It's so economical with how it's constructed, which makes it so effective. It's really done in 5 shots, an over-the-shoulder shot in its reverse, 2 singles, and an insert. But what makes it work is our knowledge of Anton Chigurh and everything that he's done up until this point, and the foolish and hopeless gas station attendant. The simplicity of the scene builds tension. So when you have an insert shot like this that lingers for so long, with the sound design that makes us feel like a rubber band of tension is stretching and stretching inside of us, everything becomes elevated. Brilliance of these scenes, and specifically this scene, is how the Coens juxtapose Anton Chigurh's cold-blooded murders with Moss's humanity. By introducing us to Moss as somebody that we care about, they create a ticking time bomb of tension. Because up until this point, these are pretty much the only 2 characters that we focus on, our cinematic knowledge tells us that at some point, these 2 characters are going to have to meet. The gas station scene is genius in particular because it bridges the gap between Chigurh's earlier murders and the inevitability of his meeting with Moss. Yes, the tension is high, but it doesn't work without the humanity of Moss. By now, we've seen Chigurh kill out of necessity the deputy and out of convenience the driver, and then the gas station scene adds yet another layer. He kills just because he can. The randomness of it and the sheer unpredictability plants a seed of fear in the audience. If Chigurh could flip a coin on a random man's life, what hope does Moss have? If you like this video or like any of the content on this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Also, consider becoming a member of my Patreon to help me continue making videos. Hit the link in the description for more. Hang on, while I was editing this video, I realized that I'm doing a Patreon exclusive video breaking down 2 scenes from No Country for Old Men and going shot by shot and showing you how they're constructed to get a certain emotion out of you. I love doing that. And if you like that type of content, definitely go check out my Patreon. Here's a quick little preview. From this moment on, Anton Chigurh barely breaks eye contact with the gas station clerk. However, the clerk tries to defuse the situation multiple times by breaking eye contact. Depending on when you're watching this video, it'll be out a couple of days after, because I haven't finished editing because I'm being lazy. But anyways, ultimately, Chigurh is terrifying not because of his actions, but because of what those actions represent. We don't know the sheriff's deputy, we don't know the man on the side of the road, and we don't know the gas station attendant. But we do know Llewellyn Moss, and Chigurh is the antithesis of Llewellyn Moss, who, for all his flaws, still values life and acts with a sense of morality. So by the time these 2 characters' paths cross, we've been conditioned to dread it. We don't fear for Moss just because we like him, we fear for him because we've seen what Chigurh is capable of. And that's the Coens' genius. They don't just make us afraid of Chigurh, they make us afraid for the people around him, even the people that we don't know. They turn every scene into a tightrope walk, with Chigurh being the ever-looming shadow of inevitability. By the end of the first act, we don't just know the stakes, we feel them in our bones, and that's why No Country for Old Men sticks with us so many years later.